My parents were always peculiar about Christmas Eve. As far back as I can remember, they sternly forbade me from venturing downstairs on that magical night. I assumed their reluctance stemmed from the desire to preserve the mystique of Santa Claus. Little did I know, the real reason was far more sinister. Growing up, I played along with the notion of Santa, eagerly awaiting his visit. The joy of waking up to a tree adorned with gifts filled my childhood with enchantment. However, as the years passed, curiosity gnawed at me. This year, on the cusp of adolescence, I awoke in the dead of night with an urgent need to use the bathroom. The house was bathed in an eerie glow from the twinkling Christmas lights as I tiptoed to the top of the staircase. Though I knew I wasn't supposed to go down, the allure of discovery overpowered the fear of parental retribution. After all, I reasoned, I was old enough to dispel the myth of Santa. The wooden steps creaked beneath my weight as I descended into the unknown. The air grew colder, and a sense of foreboding settled over me like a shroud. Ignoring the uneasy feeling, I reached the bottom, only to witness a scene that shattered my understanding of Christmas. Bathed in an otherworldly light, I beheld my parents kneeling before a grotesque creature, a demon with eyes that glowed like ember. The air was thick with an unnatural tension as the demon, wreathed in shadows, placed meticulously wrapped gifts under the tree. My parents, their eyes devoid of the warmth I once knew, bore expressions of submission. It dawned on me. My family's prosperity came at a price. With a sickening revelation, I understood that my parents had forged a pact with this demonic entity, selling their souls in exchange for worldly success. Each year, the demon honored their pact by delivering gifts that bore a malevolent aura. Frozen in terror, I watched as the demon finished its dark ritual. My presence hadn't gone unnoticed. Slowly, its gaze turned toward me, and a sinister smile curled on its lips. In that moment, I comprehended the gravity of my discovery. Unable to remain there any longer, I break out of my frozen, in-shock state and run upstairs frantically, jumping into my bed. I shut my eyes, yet I couldn't sleep at all. So I sat up and thought about the situation for a long, long time until I eventually felt too tired to keep my eyes open. Christmas morning dawned, but the warmth of the day couldn't dispel the chilling revelation from the night before. I joined my family in the living room, where the remnants of the unholy ritual remained hidden beneath the festive facade. As we exchanged gifts, I couldn't shake the image of my parents' subservience to the demonic entity. The joyous laughter and cheerful banter felt hollow, overshadowed by the haunting truth that lurked beneath the tinsel and bows. Unable to shake the weight of the unholy secret, I roamed the dimly lit corridors. As I entered my parents' room, I noticed a drawer carelessly left ajar. Curiosity urging me forward, I pulled it open and uncovered a trove of documents. Contracts sealed with sinister markings and signatures that echoed with the whispers of malevolent promises. With trembling hands, I sifted through the damning evidence. The contracts, each bearing the name of a family member and a year. They detailed the annual bargains struck with the demonic entity. A sinking realization washed over me. My parents, siblings, and even distant relatives had willingly surrendered their souls, one by one, in exchange for prosperity. I see one more document, one that looks noticeably more fresh than the rest. I see the number, 2023. It has been done this year. As I trace the unsettling pattern through the years, the gravity of our family's legacy became painfully clear. This year, the cursed torch has passed to me. The Christmas season is the most wonderful time of the year. All the candy, presents, the decorations, and Santa Claus. The jolly old elf that brings gifts to all the good boys and girls of the world, with his big belly and red suit. I used to love this time of the year, but you will soon read why that changed. I was 11 years old, and it was the 1st of December. I laid in bed as my mother scolded me about something I had done that day, and she ended with the cliche, "You're getting colon switches for Christmas this year." As I drifted off to sleep, thought to myself, if she thought I was bad today, she has another thing coming. I was awakened in the middle of the night by the sounds of heavy breathing. So as most children would do, I hid under the covers then. I heard a raspy voice say,
"Hello, naughty boy. I've come to take you far away. There is nothing you can do or say. There is no need to scream and no need to fight, because one way or another, you are going with me tonight."
It ripped away the covers and stood, a monster of a creature, with twisted giant black horns and draped with an old grotesque crimson coat. His face looked of old dry leather, with hollow eyes and long crooked teeth. Next thing I know, it shoved me in a basket with other children. Then everything went black. When I came to, I was freezing cold with others around me sobbing. We were in a makeshift cage. There must have been 30 other kids besides me. Everyone was confused and scared. Then the creature came into the room, unlocked the cell, and snatched one of the other children, and as he did, he snarled,
"The bad for the good. It's all about sacrifice, you see. Your sins are delicious, and you will all feed me."
And just like that, he sunk his teeth into his victim, and as he wailed in pain, the creature left with him. Throughout the days, the monster would send these little creatures in for the next victim. You could see the sorrow in their eyes as they carried out his work. From time to time, the monster would come in to handpick his next meal, and every time he did, he was a little fatter, and his hair began to grow. It was almost as if we were witnesses to the dead coming back to life. It started out with one child every couple of days, then to one a day, and now he would take 2 or 3 at a time. We made our plans and tried to escape, but to no avail. And the days drug on, and I was the last child left in the cage, and I knew that today would be the day the creature would eat me. It had been a while since he himself had come to collect his meal, and I could only imagine what he looked like now. Visions of the monster with his grotesque grin spun around in my head. Then I heard the now familiar sound of the lock opening, and I saw him walk in. I knew my time had come and I would be the next meal for the monster. As he approached me, I noticed something was different. His beard was full and his cheeks were merry. The coat that once was way too big fit him perfectly. He was fat and happy. He looked like a jolly old man, not threatening at all. But then he spoke.
"It's Christmas Eve, child. There's no need to be frightened."
I cried out in anger. "What kind of monster are you?"
"Santa Claus."
He chuckled. He saw the look of confusion on my face and he laughed his deep guttural laugh and began to speak.
"It's all about sacrifice. It's simple to see. I take the bad and reward the good, and it pleases me. I'm Krampus to the bad, but Santa to the good. This part of my life is misunderstood."
It made sense to me now. I had always wondered how a man living in the North Pole stayed so full and healthy with no vegetation or any other source of food. He smiled at my realization and said,
"December is my month, my time to thrive. And I bet you are wondering why you are still alive."
I nodded as he bent down and he removed his hat. The horn shone bright.
"Every year I do this. Every year it's the same. Every year I release one so the world will remember my name.
I looked at him puzzled, and he picked up on my confusion and continued.
The reason I live, the reason I survive, is that all the children believe I'm alive. All the other gods like me have gone out of existence and ceased to be. The world forgot who they are, but not old Santa Claus, not so far. You will tell your story, you will tell your tale. Though many won't believe, some of them will.
I passed out and woke up on my front porch. I beat and beat on the door with all my might, and my parents came down. We were united again. I told them what happened, but just like Santa said,
though many won't believe you, some of them will.
The only part they seemed to believe was I was with Santa. They forgot about him looking like a monster or eating children. So the spirit of Christmas lives on. The only reason I'm writing this after all these years is because my neighbor's little boy was taken last night from his bed, and that little fella has been a holy terror all year. He didn't heed my warnings no matter how sincere they were. I did all I could for him. But boys will be boys, and he will answer for it, I'm afraid. I'll leave you with this. He sees you when you're sleeping. He knows when you're awake. His mouth waters when you've been bad. So be good for God's sakes. Because he
is coming to town.